Hi Jane.
Hi there, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Good to see you again. We caught up a few times, obviously virtually this year. We keep popping up everywhere, don't we? Different people.
We have, and thank you very much for inviting me to come and chat to you today. So I'm really pleased to be here.
No, absolute pleasure. It's been great to chat to lots of different people, and obviously I've known you a little while now. I've worked on lots of projects with you, seen your business evolve, and it's
Yes.
been lots of people this year of making different changes of what they're looking to do in the future, and so you're evolving your business. So it's been great to be a part of that with you. For people that are watching that maybe don't know what you do or what the path you've taken, if you'd like to just sort of tell me a little bit more about where you've been and where you've got to now, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I'd love to. Because, and I'm sure many people can identify with this, that their life takes a very windy path, if you like. There's very few people who, go through university and get a job and stay doing the same thing. And for me, it really has meandered. But what's really really odd but also really nice to see is that my interests and the things that I've done in the past have all sort of come together really to actually make sense and make something really really good going forward. Because if I went back to sort of like my A-level days, I was one of these people who always did a real odd combination of things. So
Yeah.
I was the only person in college doing a combination of maths, economics and psychology. So
Right.
I was blending like the business and the math side along with all the human side as well. Um, and when I went to university, because I was really interested in psychology, I made a sort of a bit of a mistake because I actually did the same thing. And again, I was the only person doing that really weird combination. Um, and I didn't actually sort of see my university course out because when I'd done my A level psychology, it was one of the first courses in the country. We're back in the 1980s now, and so there were hardly any lecturers who taught psychology. So that we had university lecturers coming and teaching us. I mean, can you imagine? It's absolutely brilliant. We didn't know how lucky we were. But what it did mean was that when I went to university, most people on the course had never done psychology before. I was so bored. I knew everything already that we covered in the first year. And I actually knew more up-to-date research than we were being taught. So unfortunately, I didn't sort of stay that course out. And, life took a different turn. I went to London to work to IBM, and I learned quite a bit about customer care there. And then I went to Wales, which is where I started my family and lived there for 20 years before coming to the southwest. And while I was there, I did a couple of things. I was a slimming consultant, so I took some qualifications in nutrition, and I also trained as a reflexologist. And I'm going to swivel my chair a little bit, see if I go the right way. No, let's go the other way. And if I go like that, oh no, this is a bit hard, isn't it? No, this is doing it in the middle. Let's do that.
That's it.
Yes, there
Yeah,
you go.
great.
You can see some feet. I've got it. That's my old chart from when I trained as a reflexologist. When I was in Wales, various things happen, and I ended up going into sort of paid employment actually in the charity sector, and I worked in the charity sector for goodness over 20 years. A long
Yeah.
time. Yeah, started off working for Marie Curie Cancer Care, and I was a community fundraiser. And I have to say, I take my hat off to any community fundraisers out there. It is a really hard job. You have to be so passionate and have such belief in what you do, because it takes up so much of your time, your personal time as well, your weekends, your evenings. They're amazing people who do community fundraising. And after that, I worked for the Firefighters Charity, which is a national charity. They're actually based up in Basingstoke, but they've got a place down in Exeter, at Harkham House, a therapy centre there that I used to go and visit for work quite a bit. And when I was there, I did a number of different roles. And my final role, I was sort of running a team of fundraisers there, and we were raising over £5.5 million a year. That team, a lot of it through recurring income,
Wow.
and it was just responsible for like over half of the income of the charity. So by the time I sort of finished, if you like, working in the charity sector, I and my teams had raised over £27 million for charity. You know, it's a lot of money and so rewarding to work in that sector. So when I left the firefighters charity, now that's when I came to the Southwest. And as you know, I was working at St Margaret's Hospice. I was the head of fundraising there, and a couple of people that you've already interviewed. So I was working for Pam Knight. She was my boss back there. And also that's how I got to know Teresa, because she was the community fundraiser. So I then became the director of fundraising there, worked there for a few years, and then went down to Exeter University, and I was working with the medical school there, raising funds for them. And I got to a point in my career where I thought, you know, I really have done all the different types of fundraising. I've got all of this knowledge, all of this business knowledge. By this time I'd got my MBA, and I thought that, you know, I want to bring it all together. So I started to work for myself as a fundraising consultant, and then formed the original company. So did that for 3 years. And then this time last year, actually, we decided, myself and my business partner decided that we would do things slightly differently. It was sort of better for the clients, really, to work as sort of two separate businesses. So I became Jane Phillips Consulting, and that's when, you know, I sort of came to you, and you redid my logo, which was absolutely fantastic, and you did my website, and we've just redone my website, and was really looking at focusing in supporting charities and social enterprises with their business planning and getting them social investment and helping them with their fundraising strategies. And then the one I had a sort of long conversation with my son, actually, and, you know, sort of talking about direction, and he sort of pointed out to me that, you know, that my skills are actually much wider, and that, you know, life coaching is a really good complement. It pulls on the psychology, my interest in psychology, and a lot of my other skills. So I took some formal qualifications in that right at the beginning of this year, before we even started, you know, lockdown and so on. But yeah, so a slightly different direction. And then I've also picked up on the food and nutrition side as well. So in a nutshell, I've sort of done a real circle. So I've picked back up the nutrition that I was doing, and I've picked back up the psychology interest there with the life coaching, and I'm still using my MBA to support organizations. So basically the things that I offer now is executive coaching and business support, life coaching, and also food and nutrition. And, you know, I do that for a couple of reasons, because clearly for me, there's always been a blend between, you know, business life and personal life. You know, I mean, I remember when I first went to work, you know, in the 80s, there was a clear dividing line. You know, you left your home at home and you left your work at home, and never the two were supposed, you know, would cross over. But life isn't like that. And I think more and more now today, people realise that. And I think with lockdown, it's become it's just become part of life, that your home life now is part of your work life. You know, we've seen people on Zoom and they've got the children playing on the floor. You know, as I said to you earlier before we started recording, I've got my dog in the room now who might go off at any moment if someone knocks on the door. Yeah. You know, and we're working with these things. And the reality is that, you know, if things are not great at home, or if things are not great in your personal life, if your self-esteem isn't very good, or something like that, it affects your work life. And if work life is difficult, or perhaps, you know, you have problems communicating with the team that you're working with, you're in the wrong career, it's going to affect on your home life as well. You know, they are so closely linked. And the reason why I bring nutrition into this is because, you know, we've said for years about, you know, sending our children to school with a good nutritious breakfast. You know, that's because what we eat, you know, eating a good breakfast actually helps us to concentrate. You know, that was so we could concentrate at school. And, you know, it doesn't change when we become adults. So I'm not saying people should have their breakfast, but what they should be doing is having really good nutrition. You know, and we know that the peaks and troughs in our energy levels throughout the day can be affected by how nutritiously we eat. So I can prepare eating plans for people, but I'm very much about the psychology of eating and about getting people to eat normally again. So getting people to listen to their bodies, understanding when they're hungry, understanding why they're getting these cravings and binge eating, and really giving people some tools to overcome those. So I'm not so much about diet, but I do think that when you address a lot of the psychological problems of eating, people will automatically start to lose weight. But I'm more about just people learning to eat normally and eat healthily again, and listen to their bodies. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. That's all
Yeah,
right.
no, I mean, it's great to hear that how
it's great to hear that
your career sort of changed, and so you come back to those things you originally enjoyed, how they've all sort of worked together, really. But I guess this year with, we've learned lots about all of us, like I say, working from home and being online and being more open and honest, I guess. And obviously some of the issues this year have been, as you say, is if it's the mental health issues, it's been very hard for this year, people being different and that sort of lack of control on how things are going on. But like you say, the food plays such an important part in that mood and that overall, how you're performing as a person, but also affecting your everyday life at work and your family and things.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we were in lockdown number one, and when we were in lockdown number two, I think everybody went through good days and bad days, and everybody's experience was different. Everybody had their own personal challenges, and were coping with it in their own way. And as a result of it, some days were good and some days were bad. And do you know what? There was no. I think one of the great learning things there is that actually there was no right or wrong here. There was no one way to do it and no one way to get it right. And actually one of my mantras, if you like, at the moment is that imperfect is the new perfect. And I'm always telling people not to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. People are trying to achieve something that's just unobtainable. And that's very true in lockdown. People were trying to be their best. You think at the beginning of lockdown one, when people had their children home from school, they were thinking, I can do this, I can cope with this, we're all in it together, we're thinking of the NHS, I'll be able to work, I'll be a fantastic home educator, I'll get my exercise each day and it'll all be great. But we are human, and for everybody really, really difficult. And I think one of the reasons for that is because what coronavirus has done and what lockdown did is it is really, really affected our most basic needs. I don't know whether you've come across Maslow's triangle, his hierarchy of needs, or whether some of the listeners have.
Yeah.
But essentially what it's saying is that the very first thing that we need to get in place before we can sort of evolve and stop thinking about ourselves are things like food, safety, health, security, and all of those things back in March were absolutely shaken. So how on earth could we go and do all the other things on top of that? So I think people have been absolutely incredible this year. The resilience of people and the way that they've coped, it's quite amazing. We are quite an amazing race, I think.
Yeah, I think it's for some talking to the various people throughout the year. It's seeing how, like I say, being resilient, and obviously one of the words has been pivoting as one of the key words of really coming up against the challenges and working around them, and people have been able to adapt and evolve and think, well, this isn't working, so we have to think of something different to do. And it's been interesting to see people have taken that and they've really gone with it, and it's taken them places they weren't there before. I mean, we were talking about Teresa, embracing, in videos, and lots of us were scared to do this kind of thing, online, and seeing people that have had to adapt their businesses, it's taken them places. And we were chatting before about people having that time to think, actually, now I've got to think differently. Do I still want to do it the same way? Can we do it different? How do you see that going into next year? Obviously, it's not like a case of New Year's Eve comes and we all go and it's all solved, because there's positivity. We're going forwards. It's good with the vaccine, but it's going to take a little while to get to where we want to be. But it's getting there. It's kind of like the end of the tunnel. It's positive. But do you think how do you think things will change, or what do you think the kind of mood will be in the new year?
Yeah, I went at the beginning of the March lockdown. Just before that, I was supposed to be doing running a series of workshops in person, about resilience, about company resilience, and then sort of lockdown happened, and so I had to learn how to use Zoom in sort of like a day or whatever, and change all my materials so that I could use Zoom. And I think one of the amazing things is the way that people have embraced Zoom and online working, and it's become a norm, hasn't it? So I think certainly there are some industry sectors that have been affected massively by COVID, and they will take some time to recover. But equally, there are some sectors that are actually benefiting as a result of it. If I'd had any spare money, I think I would have bought shares in cleaning products and PPE and things like that. I think that as an economy, we're split into two halves: those who've done well and those that need to recover. But I think that our way of working has changed. So we're going to carry on doing this virtual working where possible for some time. But it suits some people down to the ground. And for some people, they absolutely hate it. So for me, I've worked from home for a long time now, and I like it. I like the quietness of my office. I can sit, I can think, I can have a quiet phone call, and that suits me. But for some people, they really miss the buzz of the water cooler moment, of bouncing ideas off other people, of having lunch together. So what I think that last year has shown us is that people will understand that they either like home working, or actually they hate it. And I think that next year, or perhaps over the next 2 years, there's going to be a change. So there's going to be some organisations who are going to think, actually, this working from home, we didn't think we could do it, but we can, and we're saving a lot of costs because we don't have an office. We only have to meet, every so often. Who will go to home working, and then there are other organisations who will go back to the office. And I think that people will move. So those people that have found that they really hate home working, who work for a company who want to carry on doing home working, they're going to move. They're going to find another job, and vice versa. Those people who found that they absolutely loved home working, it would work much better for them. They worked better like that. It just fitted in with their life, and perhaps childcare or looking after older parents. And if they have to go back to the office, I think that they will try to change as well. So I do think that over the next couple of years, there's going to be a movement of employment. And then I also think that people, this year has really made people think about what they're doing and whether they're happy. Whether they get the benefit, the rewards, the satisfaction out of the work that they're doing. And so I think this year people have reevaluated themselves. They've reevaluated their values. This year has made people realise how important other people are in our lives and how important our community is. And so there will be people who are, looking at their career and thinking, I think now is the time to change. And perhaps they'll be looking to change their jobs or even go self-employed. So I think there's going to be quite a movement over the next couple of years of people of change.
No, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. And like you say, it was life became a lot simpler when it was kind of everything's, the world's so busy these days, and it kind of slowed down. And like you said, we had time to sort of take it in, take a step back, reevaluate what we want to do, and say. I guess one of the big things is, like, say, these bigger companies. I think I spoke to Jeremy Hyams from the Claims Consortium, and he's got sort of 300 odd staff, and the risk attached to trying that. Oh, maybe we'll try home working. Let's do it. If COVID wasn't around, the risk to do that for a company with that many employees, if it doesn't go well, there's a big impact. But when we're all forced to change and embrace stuff, like you said, it then allowed everybody to sort of try it out and then go, what do you think then? This has worked well for me. And like you said, with the work-life balance, the divide between those two, it's given people more sort of flexibility and control over how they do things. And I guess obviously it's having to trust those people that as long as they perform well and they're happier, if they're happier workers and they're able to do things that make them more fulfilled and motivated, and that's great, isn't it? But like you say, it's going to be those people, when you've got half of them that want to work from home, half of them that find, well, I can't work from home because I get distracted by the dog or whatever. But if other people are like, I don't want to go to an office it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes. And it's funny, seeing the path. So you're in a place now where all the things that you love, that you're motivated about, that you enjoy, you're fulfilled by, and helping people with it. Helping them to in the charity sector to take them on the bits that and people with the coaching, the nutrition. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I was thinking about this yesterday because I when I was 18, I had a careers interview on my 18th birthday because I was like, today
Okay.
I'm officially a man. So I was like, I didn't have a clue. I was doing a very, very random like subjects as well, really, at the time. And the main thing I enjoyed was the school magazine. Was I quite liked doing that? But I'm not art
Was
based.
it?
I can't draw to save my life. Anything fine art,
Yeah.
I'm useless. And it's funny now
Yeah.
that we have two magazines, and it was because the head teacher asked me what I thought of the magazine, and I told him I didn't think it was very good. So he made me the editor, and it sent me down that path of into design and deadlines and clients. And it reminded me when you said that about you, that that components come in, and the video stuff I've wanted to do for ages, but I've always like, you're always kind of a bit like, oh, what's it going to be like?
Yeah.
But it's forced us to do that and evaluate things. And I guess the people that you'll be working with, that you can help your experience, there'll be lots of people that you've got, the benefit of your experience to take them on that journey.
So then, there'll be people who perhaps want to evaluate their career and their work, and realize that whatever they're doing, it's not quite right. There'll be some people who know what they want to do. There'll be some people who know they want to do something different, but they don't know quite what that is. So we can take them on that journey and take them on a sort of like a voyage of discovery, if you like. And then also, there's people who have found that they want to get more out of life. So they want to, this has been a great year for sort of personal development, and I don't think that will change. So with the life coaching that I'm doing, really helping people to be their better self. So maybe it might be a stress issue that they have. I mean, crikey, this has been an incredibly stressful year for many, many different reasons. It might be around their confidence. It might be around their performance. It might be around their relationships and how they deal with those relationships. So there are many ways that people can improve. And what I'd say is, if you think that life coaching is just about you and your home life, it's really not. Your work life will benefit as well, because you will feel more fulfilled, you'll have more direction, you'll understand yourself better, you'll understand your strengths better, and that obviously will have a knock-on effect about your path with work as well. And then on the food side, really helping people to overcome some of that, those sort of psychological food issues, helping them really to eat properly, to overcome the binge eating, that awful sort of diet cycle that people get into. It's incredibly releasing when people realize that they don't have a food issue anymore, that food is just there and they're not thinking about it all the time. That's so empowering, and also the way it helps us with our energy levels, and how we are in work, how we are at home is incredible. If you'll have seen some of those articles that talk about the habits, the top habits of the most successful people, and included in there is always something around their exercise and what they eat. So they'll be paying attention to what they eat. And we're not saying that people have to be health gurus and never put something tasty and never have a tasty treat again in their life. Not at all. It's about the balance. Because goodness, can you imagine, never being able to go out for a meal, or never being able to have a piece of chocolate or a piece of cake? You just can't do it. So it's about the balance and just getting it to fit together, so that you can go out and do all of those things without feeling really guilty about them.
No, absolutely. And I've really noticed this. Well, I joined the gym last year, finally,
Yeah.
because there's a gym on the way to the office. I was like, there's no excuses, Paul. I still had to do the school run back then. I was like, do the school run and go off. But I noticed when I was, eating more, more chicken and exercising and having like good sort of nuts, no snack nuts, that kind of stuff, that kind of thing for protein. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was much more energy. And I think for me as well is that goes hand in hand with that, with the, fuel in your body, and your, having, more people drink enough water, etc., etc. For me this year, what was very hard is, I play football once a week. We've been playing on the same pitch now for 15 years, every Wednesday night. And of course, it stopped this year. So when I look back and I think, well, I was early 20s when I first started playing, and now I'm over 40. It's taken me a little bit longer to get back into it, but it wasn't just the exercise, and it was the need to do something that broke my week up. It was the need to meet up with a random group of guys from various different backgrounds, different ages. But for that 1 hour a week, we had that time where I just kicked the ball about. I mean, I'm useless at football, but it doesn't matter. We don't even keep the score. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's that kind of nice. And for me, that's been hard to have something that taken away from me. And, I guess for a lot of people, it's been that uncertainty. You're being dictated what we do next. But like you say, having that control over taking that back in the new year, refocusing, looking at your diet, it's given a lot of people time to think, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It has. And it's interesting what you say about your football group, because you're quite right. It's about more than just exercise. There is the social side of it as well, and the routine and the break from the office, as it were, from getting into a really different mindset. And there's something about people needing to balance what they do. So for instance, if you use your brain a lot, as in, we all use our brains, so that's not a very, very good way of explaining it. But if you sit at your desk and you're looking at spreadsheets all the time, or you're typing documents, you have to balance that with something where you can switch off your brain a little bit. You don't have to think either so hard or in the same way. So let's say art, for instance, is drawing on a very different area of the brain, or doing a jigsaw or something like that. We have to find a balance with what we do in our lives. We have to get that blend. And when people don't have that blend, when they let's say they spend too much time in front of the computer, spreadsheet, real heavy spreadsheet work, documents and so on, and then they're coming home and perhaps they're doing the same, perhaps they're continuing to sit down, they need to be doing something, a very different activity, even if it's something where they're not sitting down. And I'm not talking about going to the gym necessarily, but just something where you are using different parts of your body and different areas of your brain to do things. It all helps to keep us healthy. There's little things that people can do to get that balance.
No, and it's funny you say that about the, looking at the screen. And I was talking to the students. I was at the college yesterday about, it was, we were talking about the creativity and inspiration and again, like you're saying, breaking the cycle, really, that you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Particularly, I can't say, right, I'm going to book in next Tuesday, I'm going to design a logo because I'm going to be creative. I'm going to be in, it doesn't work like that. If I'm doing something where I've got to draw a map and it's a case of drawing the map that you see in front of you, it's more technical. But if you've got to sit there and obviously let your mind wander a little bit. And it's funny because the last guy that I worked for, I remember him telling me off because he said, stop looking at that blooming screen. Get up, pick a book up, and bugger off for half an hour and sit and read it.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to force yourself to be creative. This is not going to happen. You need to, which is why it's great. Like the office we got here at Hesticon to have that forced break. I go off and talk to the swans for half an hour, come back, and suddenly I'm like, woo! Not they've given me all the answers, but it is, like you say, it's that break in the cycle, changing your mindset and freeing up that block.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And there's different ways that you can do that. We sometimes call it breaking state. So, if you're really struggling with a piece of work that you're trying to do, you can just, if you get up, step away from the computer, go and put a piece of music on, something like that. Make a cup of coffee, sing a song, move around, do a shimmy or something like that. Just to sort of break that state, really, and it moves your brain on to a different place, so that when you do come back to it, you come back to it fresh, really.
No, that's really good advice. We can all take obviously lots from this year that we've all learned personally, but also those tips you sort of shared there and things we can do in everyday lives. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it evolves with once of course we're like networking again, we're seeing people more, and like you say, that balance between what we're doing now online and the physical meetup, and then like you said, the mix of offices working from home, and there'll be a lot of people that I guess now's their chance. I've somebody that I'm working with at the moment, they've always wanted to set their own business up, and now it's given them right, I'm going to do it. It's now or never kind of thing. And I've worked with most of the work I've done. The second part of this year has been people that I've had a chance to step back, look at their business, and maybe rebrand or like rethink where they've been, because it's given us a bit of time to do that this year. And those for me have been the positives. Those people have said, look, things have changed. I want to go this direction. like yourself, you brought it all together brilliantly, and the key areas that you really love.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's really nice to see it all
And
come
with a
together.
fantastic new logo as well. Well, actually, it's not a new
Oh,
logo, is it?
yeah,
It's just been it's just been tweaked, so it's still sort of, the core of it is still there, but it's just got a fresh image, really. And I think that, that probably describes a lot of us. We just want a fresh image for 2021.
yeah. I mean, that's why I love what I do. Is being a small part of working with people and part of their journey. Really, you say it's nice to see, as you were saying about the lots of the work you do that's rewarding with people with the coaching sort of side or the nutrition, let them lead like better, healthier, happier lives. But also the great work you did with the charity sector. It's that difference you make to people. And I think that for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And this year, as you said, the community that's come through, we've all felt, there's been that kind of all in the same boat. But that's been the positive that's shone this year, really. I think for me, that community and
Yeah, it really has. And I'm still working in the charity sector, working with social enterprises. And one of the things that I was doing over the summer was I was working on a grants program, assessing grant applications that were coming in. And it's always humbling working in the charity sector and the third sector. You hear the most amazing stories. Staff are incredible, the volunteers are incredible, but some of the stories that I heard through this grants program were just so moving. There was one chap who had remortgaged his house at the beginning of lockdown so that his social enterprise could carry on, and he could carry on supporting the people that needed the help. Just the lengths that people
wow.
go to are just incredible. And certainly, there were some stories that brought tears to my eyes. They really did.
Well, it's been great to chat to you today,
So I
catch up.
think,
It's been it's been
it
great to
has,
catch
it
up, hear
has,
your story, how your business has developed, and I say wish you all the best for next year and on, and look forward to seeing you at some events soon. To be nice to meet up with people again face to face once we do that. But I don't think things aren't going to be the same as they were, but there's been lots of positives to take forward. So.
There have, and I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be fantastic to go and see people in person again. People that we've just not seen for months now, other than on a screen. We can see whether the screen has been kind to us or unkind to us.
I better get back to the gym then, Jay.
But I think it will be good when we know what our new norm will be, and when we can sort of crack on with that, really. But I'm looking forward to a really good 2021, and I think we all need a year of hope and some fulfillment of some dreams as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Jane. I look forward to catching up with you soon. All right.
Thank you, Paul. Good to talk.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.